This is going to be a review of the week of February 23rd to the 27th, 2026. This was a difficult week for me in that I had scaled up, trading more size, more risk, and I struggled to put together winning trades, winning days, and I ended up with a losing week. I gave back so much in profits, so much in greedily holding trades, in almost this, I had a literal P&L drawdown, but I also had a psychological drawdown where it almost became this very difficult boundary, this barrier that I couldn't get over of just even stacking on a winning trade in it. I think all of that was amplified by me having more risk on the line and just all of the psychological ramifications that come with that. Because there was so much opportunity this week, and I felt like my reads were very strong. It was the executions and the mindset and preparation before my trades that really faltered. So yeah, let's just break it apart day by day, trade by trade. I started off on absolutely the wrong foot. This was the middle band teal long after what was a beautiful short setup. This was the 20-day moving average, a major multi-day resistance. We flushed down new lows. I had been looking for shorts all throughout here as well. Beautiful ICH. And again, I had written notes about us needing to break the top teal band, which we anti-off it here. And I ended up just last minute in finding myself in this long, completely impulsive, lack of planning, which became much less of an issue later on in the week. But again, this was not okay. And this was really frustrating. This is very upsetting. Again, this is a 30-second trade, right? I mean, it's really inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, but the habits and practices that it builds are extremely negative. They're very harmful, especially long term, and when I'm trading much larger size. The thing about this is that trading requires, especially the type that I'm doing, requires me to be so precise and incredibly calculated in every single decision that I make. Again, like I said, it's a game of decision making. And this right here is just very poor decision making. So that brings me to the next trade. This was well planned. Very clear resistance, come up, see this bottom band, double wick, beautifully executed. Huge absorption on the tape here at low of day, and I refuse to exit. This would have been double the profits, double the dollar value of this loss. And I refuse to take it off. So I take a break even there. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? This is not okay. But on the good side of things, on the bright side, horrible chop, very low volume, stalling, drifting downwards, and just a lack of good entries here in the midst of all of this sideways action. I sit out. I don't trade anymore. There was a good op here, but that was pretty much it. And that was good. It was I was proud of that, being able to assess that and just take a step back and be like, okay, the move has happened. I messed up. There will be other days. There's nothing really amazing here that I care too much about. Let's call it. All right. And that is something I am building more towards in the coming days and weeks as well. And you'll see that here as well on, this is such a mess. Get some of this out of the way. This was on Tuesday. I have my breakout here. I missed this. I sit out of this back door as well. Not a problem. Very well done. And this was a good backdoor trade here, analyzing teal, just for continuation lower. But really it was the identification of the teal, which I planned for, the breakout, left shoulder liquidity, IHS. We see that little rounded left shoulder or right shoulder here, close above, beautifully executed, right into the orange resistance, which I have, and I'm not taking profits. I'm being greedy again for no good reason. But this allows me to, and again, it's about trading and structured demands. Right, we come down and we roll over here. This also allows me to see the yellow, right, which was beautifully posted here. I had missed this entry because I was doing other stuff. I was distracted. But then the absolutely gorgeous long, right, so this was a great entry, but the absolutely gorgeous long comes here. And I miss it, but I notice we're still on that very strong precision buying, right, very aggressive, strong buying, upwards like so, demarcated by my white. So this was a reasonable entry, and you still want to use a reasonable stop. But because I was so frustrated over this, because I was kind of in a whirl with everything, I just cut it, right? I'm just stopping myself out here. I manually cut it, and it would have been a beautiful long. Right shoulder, right above it. Liquidity gets grabbed here, right in that pocket, right here. We're trading through it. Precision activates. My gosh, what a beautiful trade. But the thing about this is that, like, yeah, I mean, and this was the move, right? That was the move for the day. And right after that, we just have like pretty horrible, nasty sideways action. There's not a whole lot here that I care about. This isn't very tradable. And I identified that and I stopped trading, which was great. So that is one of the silver linings there. But again, fantastic read, right? And being able to walk away is so key. Okay, what do we have here? Yep, so this was the day ahead of NVIDIA earnings. We had I believe it was just like a clear technical level breakout, continuation higher, we roll here. I avoided this top band short like I've been saying, so there's some good things there. I avoided this. But the trade here that I was originally looking for was this very clear red HNS, right? We have the, annotate this here. Right shoulder very clearly, red buying, and we formed this here. And what I was taking here was just like a simple bounce. Support here at the red, up to resistance, up at the teal. So you need to be taking profits accordingly, right? And but I don't. I'm going for the home run, whatever. You want to go for the home run, you have to be entering long up here, because this is a pretty nice sell-off, and the lower high forms, you need to be out. The lower high forms, this was a gorgeous short. Take it down. And one of the other themes this week is of just, distracted driving, distracted trading, which you can't afford to do. And this chop here is so bad. This was how long? 32? Like 30 minutes of just like kind of untradeable sideways action for me. So I'm chatting, I'm doing other stuff, I'm wasting time. It's done. Like I can be done. This is at 11:30 p.m. my time, right? There's no need to be doing this. Like there's other better things I can be doing with my time than just like sitting here. But then again, I find myself just forcing my way in. I hadn't planned for this. This was so last minute. If I wanted to long the teal, it would have had to be here, not here, right? Good entry from bottom teal, chatting on Discord, stupid. Best long is wait for cup closure, and yellow. Huge magenta below with chop. We have all this chop. Yes, waiting for this cup coming up. Much better move. And the theme continues. This was just a misclick, by the way. But the theme continues. I take that, and again, volatility and volume are extremely low. The market's barely moving. A lot of sideways, choppy, poor action. We have this top teal from here, right? And we're grinding up. We have this, and I had marked this out in the past. This is very clear to me here, but you have the very clean, clear, grindy control channel higher, like this, forming the right shoulder. And in this case, you always need a retracement. There's always a right shoulder. So I'm shorting towards the bottom of it here, right? Again, this, like this, it always needs the lower high retracement. And I'm shorting towards the bottom here, bottom of the channel, close, very close to this major teal support, right, from earlier. And I know this well, that these grinds need the lower high, but I'm just not, I'm not in it. My head's not in it. I'm kind of just mindlessly trading. This is really choppy. This is slow. It's already almost midnight my time. Like it's time to be done. But I'm just forcing this. And you know, if you're gonna still be here, you need to have a plan. You need to be writing stuff down ahead of time and preparing for that, not just like, oh, okay. And you see this right here. This is so close to teal. It holds the teal. We reclaim the floor, right? This is a massive floor of support. It gets reclaimed on this engulfing candle right here. Reclaims these supports, wicks the upper teal, and you get a nice long higher, right? So this is where things start to get bad, where you know, the setups are no longer presenting themselves as the day goes on. It's getting lower and lower volume, volatility, and I am still continuing to trade. Thursday. Yeah, this was a really interesting day. Because there was so much opportunity in the market, and it was such a drastic shift. I think a lot of people got caught offside. I did as well initially, but because I had thought that the market would just continue to grind higher. But after the first few minutes, you see some very strong selling off the open, and volatility is clearly there. There's clearly good flows, and I pivot short. So I was immediately thinking, how can I get short? How can I aggressively enter this market? And that's great in terms of its read, but it's also very dangerous because you are just FOMOing, you're impatient, you're desperate to get involved. And at least it trades like this short here that didn't have the double algo there, right? This would have been better. Sorry, the double wick, break lower. You're getting your piece. You know, you're trading those flows. Get in, find profits in the charts, get out. And it was largely guided by FOMO, the lack of the double wick here, not really thinking, not really being fully in tune with it. And I was right. You know, a huge drop came, but this could have been avoided. Oh, yeah, head, left, right shoulder here. This was a good entry, especially since I felt like the way this had traded was far enough from the supports, right? Like the structure was still clear. On Friday, I have a trade that's similar to this, but it wasn't really like a middle band. Like this is not really a middle band because this breaks down, you know? So that's more some of my own discretion, own technicals. I won't get too deep into that, but this entry was too late. I got slipped very poorly. My entry was supposed to be here. Stop there. I would have been fine on the trade. But yeah, nothing I could have done about that, unfortunately. I think this would have just been a better entry, further away from the supports. And then it's the same story as the prior day where the move happens. The move really happens. And I could have been very focused here, very locked in, and found this long here, this floor I just reclaimed long was incredible. But then we grind higher. We're in a really clean, controlled buying. I'm not focused. I don't really care. But I want to be in a trade regardless. And again, that's a horrible thing. That's just not smart trading whatsoever. And I'm chatting, I'm distracted, so I'm just in this mindless, you know, make it up last second short here with zero lower high after very strong buying, or in this channel. Today is done. I've lost focus. It's almost midnight. So yeah, I did a good job of that for 2 days, and I did a poor job of that for 2 days. Friday, thankfully, I locked in on that. I did have this, well, here's what I'm talking about in terms of the middle band. But this is more so clearly guided by, in the other example of the red, I mentioned the supports there, that the trade was further away from the supports, that middle band short. However, this is directly at those supports. The markets had reclaimed the support, and I had noted this when I first came back from, I was in the restroom, I came back and I saw the charts. And this would have been a good short on the retest, this little roll here of the orange. and you see the market gradually start to roll over. This wick here would have been a great entry. Just quick profit taking, but I don't know. I feel like when this happens here and you see this reclaim, this is so clear that you have to watch out for this floor. And then that's exactly what we get. By the same light, I still feel like there's something here in terms of the structure that was just like really beautifully placed. You have the wedge lower, right? You have the supports here. You have the wedge lower. It curls up at this 10 a.m. bar. The volume comes in, and we have this break revenue liquidity here going for high of day. And this short was also all just kind of a little too late, a little too last minute. I hadn't had too much time on the chart, so not great. However, I was able to relax. I sat out of all this kind of this, holding the support of the red. This would have been a great backdoor TBBS, but I'm not taking those. But for future reference, it's important to see the really strong precision selling coming in. You have the green here, wick, wicking the backside of the red. So you have resistance, resi, support, breaks down, resi. Beautiful trade. And it's important that you have that L liquidity with the HNS as well, right? So all those little nuances I think are very important. And in drawing these algos, like the yellow here becomes very important later on. But like, when these break out and it forms the cup, it always comes out and wicks something important. And that wick is often where your yellow is going to be. So that kind of put a good guide for me to, okay, probably the yellow looks like this, right? And I'm able to kind of paste that yellow to the top. And it serves as a great guide for this trade. You can see very clearly, cup, nested cup, again, another cup, it breaks out again. But I am very proud that I stood out of all of this chop, all of this sideways action. And just like the long that I was explaining yesterday, the floor, reclaim, IHS, wick, momentum comes in, teal. Old me would have been shorting here on the retest of the major orange and getting stopped out immediately. This was a great great reclaim. I saw not only the cup, but the clear, inverse IHS here. Left shoulder liquidity, breakout, high of day, take profit. And if I was still there, I would have absolutely taken this roll, this round out of the high of day cup with yellow. You see the bullish bar closes, coming in, breaking out above the red, resistance. We break out now, it is support. This wicks it, backside wick here is just gorgeous to high of day. Right, that is a great trade. So yeah, that concludes the week. Going into this next week, I mean, the goals are going to be the main themes that I've spoken about in this video and that I've written about on X. And that's really it. It's just going to be the issues have been identified. I'm very well aware, and I'm able to avoid them a fair amount of time. That patience, that planning ahead, the focus, the pickiness. But now it's about really implementing it day to day in my trading. So yeah, anyways, thank you very much for listening.